Today we're going to talk about exercise, physical activity, and recovery. I'm also going to walk you through my personal cycle-synced exercise programming. I'm so excited. If there was one pill for longevity, it would be exercise. There are so many incredible benefits, from improving blood flow in the body to boosting brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which can actually promote new neuronal growth, and so many other benefits, reducing your blood pressure. For women specifically, exercise can really help to strengthen our bones. We know that as we age, something called osteoporosis, or the degrading of the bone, can actually occur. We want to keep those bones super strong as ladies. We also really want to focus on adding on strength and muscle mass. Something called sarcopenia can start to set in later years of life. So one of my goals is to really pack on as much high quality muscle as possible, as well as focus on my cardiovascular system, my VO2 max, which is a great longevity marker, grip strength, and so much more. When I think about my workout programming, I like to target each system associated with longevity. We want to maintain strength, support heart health and metabolic health, and improve mobility. So let me get into the focus areas, and each of these focus areas support those longevity systems that I mentioned earlier. First, we have cardio training. It supports heart health and metabolic efficiency. We have VO2 max training, which boosts oxygen capacity and endurance. We have strength training as a focus to maintain muscle mass and bone density. We also have power training, which helps preserve those fast twitch muscle fibers. And lastly, we have mobility and stretching to enhance our joint health and flexibility. For frequency, I'm working out 5 to 6 days per week, but each one of those days is hitting a different longevity metric. So here's an example week of my training. Monday, I focus on strength. Tuesday is VO2 max training and stretching. Wednesday is power, and it also is classified under HIIT, or high intensity interval training, and strength. Thursday, we have mobility and cardio. Friday, we have VO2 max and strength training. Saturday, I have cardio and stretching. And then Sunday is an active recovery day. So what is active recovery? For me, this looks like a long walk in the hills, preferably with my husband, or a light, really slow flow yoga class. So going back to biomarkers and the at-home tracking, I use the Oura Ring. They recently rolled out a new marker called cardiovascular age. 6 months ago, only 6 months ago, I had a cardiovascular age of -6 years, which is pretty good. But after incorporating my new workout routine that I just shared with you all, with the VO2 max training twice per week, it's actually dropped to -11.5 years. So we have made a substantial decrease in my cardiovascular age in just the short time period of 6 months. This is so important because we know that cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of both women and men. So everything that we can do to improve our cardiovascular system is incredibly beneficial for longevity. So now we're going to talk about how I adjust my training for my cycle. So training by phases. Again, we're going to talk about that follicular phase. So days 1 through day 14, I really increase the intensity. So I'm doing my hardest lifts, hitting my PRs during this phase. In our follicular phase, we are going to recover our absolute best. It's important to note, though, if you have heavy bleeding or experience PMS symptoms, you might want to take it a little bit easier on days 1 through 5 or during your bleed. So feel comfortable with taking it easier then if need be, but then really jump into some of your most intense exercises of the entire month throughout the rest of the follicular phase up through ovulation. When it comes to your luteal phase, so post-ovulation, it's when you might want to consider dialing back the intensity a little bit. Again, we want to allow progesterone to increase naturally. So this is where I do slightly less intense exercises, but I'm still sticking to all of the longevity focuses that we talked about earlier. We're working on the cardiovascular system, VO2 max training, strength training, mobility, stretching, and so much more. Now we're going to dive into recovery. One thing that I love for recovery is cold plunging. I've found a few important things as a woman, though, that I would love to share with you. I've really learned not to do those super frigid temps that men may feel best at. But due to our greater spike in cortisol to stressors and our baseline higher stress levels, I found that keeping my cold plunge in the 40s Fahrenheit is optimal for me. I also want to walk you through a female cold plunging schedule. So let's talk about follicular phase, day 1 through day 14, but we're going to also sub-break that down to menstruation. So let's look at days 1 through 5. If you're comfortable doing cold plunging during that time, you can use shorter and gentler cold plunges, maybe 30 seconds to 2 minutes max at a higher temperature, maybe 50 to 59 degrees Fahrenheit, to avoid added stress. This is already a stressful time. It may, though, have benefits in reducing PMS symptoms and give an extra energy boost. So if you feel comfortable cold plunging at that time, it can be used in your favor. Now let's talk about the late follicular phase. So this is day 16 through 14. We can gradually increase our time and intensity as our energy levels and estrogen are rising. We can tolerate longer plunges, maybe 2 to 5 minutes, and a little bit of a colder temp, looking at maybe 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. As we move into ovulation, days 15 through 17, it's the best time for a colder, stronger cold plunge session. Estrogen and testosterone peak, improving our mood and energy, and we can try a little bit of a colder temp, maybe 39 to 45 degrees for 3 to 5 minutes. As we enter our luteal phase, days around 18 to 28 or 30, let's talk about cold plunging during this time. In our early luteal, days around 18 through 24, we can maintain those moderate plunges, 2 to 3 minutes at about 45 to 55 Fahrenheit. When we get into our late luteal cycle, days 25 through 28, this is usually the PMS phase where symptoms might start presenting. We can look at a lower intensity, warmer water plunge, something like 50 to 59 degrees, and shorter sessions, maybe 30 seconds to 2 minutes, going back to that initial time frame. Again, cold exposure may help with PMS-related inflammation, but we want to really avoid overstressing the body. For me, as someone that is trying to conceive in the near future, I'm actually eliminating cold plunging in the luteal phase. But throughout this fall, if you're interested in cold plunging, it can be a great tool to improve energy, increase dopamine, but you always want to make sure to listen to your body. One additional note about cold plunging, we're really getting into the nuance and detail here, but if you're looking for hypertrophy or muscle growth, you want to wait about 4 hours post-workout to do your cold plunge. This is because that rapid reduction in inflammation can actually blunt your hypertrophy or muscle growth. So a great time to do it is either pre-workout for that extra energy or post-workout as recovery, but waiting a few hours after your actual training session. If you are going to do a cold plunge, it can be really helpful to do box breathing with slow exhales to really reduce those cortisol spikes. The next therapy I want to talk about for recovery is sauna. So regular sauna use is linked to a 40% reduction in all-cause mortality and lower risk of cardiovascular disease. I also love pairing sauna or heat therapy with the cold plunge. It can help balance stress and maintain warmth. Studies for sauna and longevity recommend at least 4 sauna sessions per week at about 15 to 20 minutes in duration. And for longevity, we're looking at temps from 170 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Most of the studies are done in Finland with Finnish saunas, but I also use an infrared sauna sometimes, and I just increase the time. So I'm staying for the full 20 minutes, and my infrared sauna gets to about 165. One of the most important aspects of recovery is sleep. We have an entire lesson on this, but we really want to aim for that consistent sleep schedule and 8 hours of high quality sleep. Breathwork can also be really beneficial in recovery, even between sets. So really focusing on slow, long breaths. The next recovery tool that I really love is a whole body vibration plate. It offers benefits such as improved circulation, reduced muscle soreness, and enhanced lymphatic drainage. For recovery and muscle relaxation, I do about 5 to 10 minutes per day post-workout or even on a rest day. For the lymphatic drainage and circulation benefits, I do 5 to 15 minutes. They're just standing on the vibration plate or doing some light movements. Another one of my personal favorite recovery modalities is hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So this combines pure oxygen with a lot of pressure to drive the oxygen into the cells. It looks a little bit like getting into a submarine. It's a metal chamber where you slip into it, put on an oxygen mask, and you spend about an hour per session in the chamber. The hyperbaric can really help reduce inflammation and speed up healing. The oxygen-rich blood helps to repair damaged tissues faster, and it can reduce inflammatory cytokines and oxidative stress. Many people also can use it for recovery from injuries to speed up healing, and some individuals even use it post-surgery or for chronic conditions. We're going to dive deep into hyperbaric oxygen therapy in the biohacking lesson, but it is one of my favorite forms of post-exercise recovery. So as I started this course with, exercise is one of the best things that you can do for longevity, but it's equally as important to focus on recovery. By implementing some of these recovery tools and therapies that I mentioned, you can really achieve best results from your exercise sessions.